Nintendo finally showed off a bunch of gameplay of Breath of the Wild 2, otherwise known as Tears of the Kingdom, and it looks really good. So I wanted to dive in this gameplay and take a closer look. Before we do, you're probably like, I've never seen Nintendo on your channel. That's true, but Breath of the Wild is the exception. It's just an amazing open world video game, so I'm really excited for the sequel. Now this gameplay revolves around the new powers that we're gonna use in this game, and these look awesome. The first one they showed off is called Recall, which just rewinds time, and they show this off by showing how we're going to get up to what they call these sky islands and just like spending a lot of time in the air. When one of these rocks falls from the sky, you just hop on it and use your recall power and it brings you right back up. But as we know, at least with how Breath of the Wild worked, like the application here is going to be crazy. It's going to be just things you would never even think of, and you just experiment and stumble upon it. And I'm like, oh my God, like I can do that? That's insane. This seems like something that's going to be used in a lot of dungeons for puzzles. Like rewinding time is just a classic thing in a lot of games with puzzles. So I'm sure we're going to be using Recall a lot for that. And then I could see us like pushing boulders down mountains or hills or like logs, whatever it might be, and then using Recall to just rewind that and then maybe sweep back past enemies and hit them a second time. I could also see this as like a traversal mechanic to climb something. So if you're climbing something and then maybe a bridge falls down, you'll be able to recall and, rewind time and make that bridge whole again. The next ability is called Fuse, but before we get to that, there is Weapon Condition. You can see him using branches in this gameplay, swinging them around, and they break. So if you're one of those people hoping that that would go away because it was in the first game, it is not going away. Everyone except for me seems to have a hot take on Weapon Condition. I don't really care, but the new ability Fuse is actually going to help with that. So it allows you to take two items and sort of fuse them together to make weapons and other sort of gears and tools. So the example they showed us is, oh, this tree branch, it's badly damaged. What can you do? You can use your fuse ability to fuse it with a rock, and not only will it make this branch more powerful because it's like a club, but it'll also increase the durability. So you can tell, yeah, this thing does a lot more damage. In the next clip, they combine a long stick with a pitchfork to create a really long pitchfork. So it's almost like taking a gameplay concept that was a little controversial in the last game, or a lot controversial, and almost morphing it into something that could be fun. It could be fun to go and find different ways to fuse items together to increase durability rather than having to worry about stuff breaking all the time. But the next bit is even cooler. You can use Fuse to put stuff on your arrows from your inventory. So we see the white choo-choo jelly being put on an arrow, and that will freeze the target. And you can imagine there's all kinds of stuff that you could attach to your arrows. So the possibilities are kind of insane. The next example is putting an eyeball on your arrow will turn it into a homing arrow. So instead of having to finally aim and hit something in the sky, fuse an eye onto an arrow and you're good to go. The next example, fusing a puff shroom onto a shield, and if the enemy hits that shield, it'll puff into a huge like smoke bomb essentially, and then you can go behind the enemy and get a sneak strike and kill them instantly. So yeah, this just feels like a very, I hate to just overuse Breath of the Wild as an example, but just as a game design concept, this feels very Breath of the Wild. It's sort of, let's give you something where you can manipulate the environment or manipulate items, and then just go experiment, have fun with it, and see what kind of crazy possibilities you can come up with. Personally, I'm excited because, Weapon Condition was annoying, I will say, in the last game, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me. Like I said before, I don't have a hot take about it. But to know that I can, find a sword and then maybe combine that sword with a rock or whatever other crazy possibility that will extend the life of that sword, that's kind of cool. And you just know people out there are going to come up with crazy combinations. I don't think of myself as the most creative gamer in terms of how I play games. Like I don't try absolutely every single option, but holy crap, I can just think there's gonna be so much cool stuff that all of us find and share together. Okay, this next part actually made my jaw drop. So we had some gameplay of a boat, and I'm sure people were like, how is that going to work? Well, there's another ability called Ultra Hand, which allows you to both stick items together and unstick them and sort of create whatever you want out of materials in the world. The example here is, look, you can just take 3 logs, smash them together, and you've got a raft. But then you could actually detach those and create your own structure. And there's sort of like some snap points on how you can put these together. And then there's some fans on the ground. So lo and behold, you can snap those fans onto the back part of these logs, and all of a sudden you have a boat. You just have to keep whacking these things and it'll send you across the river. So the possibilities here are insane. And in fact, they go on to explain, like, yeah, the car you've seen, the floating balloon, and this helicopter thing, those are not objects that are already created for you. Like, you just have to go and create your own version of those objects. So yeah, we're going to be seeing like crazy boats and all kinds of different like vehicles and just ways of getting around, and it's in this very Breath of the Wild way, at least to me. It's sort of like this cause and effect. You have certain powers, you get to use them out in the world and just see how the world reacts to you. So the final ability they showed off is called Ascend, and this one's kind of funny because it's like a very specific ability and it feels like it's going to be useful only in very specific scenarios, but hey, maybe I just don't have the imagination for it. If you're in a space that has a ceiling or a roof or is covered and has a second level, you can press this button and you'll basically teleport up through the bottom of the roof and show up on top. The example they showed off is just this small structure that Link got on top of, and then in this cave, you're able to go all the way to the top and boom, you're on the mountain now. And this almost sounds like a convenience ability because they explain like you don't have to climb this mountain now using stamina, which was something you definitely had to worry about in the first game. Now you have this Ascend ability, which pretty much skips that entirely. But yeah, obviously this is helpful for exploration, but I can see this being used a lot in dungeons as well. Just if there's multi-layer, dungeons, different floors, then just being able to go from one floor to another to solve a puzzle, yeah, it makes sense. So we have a bit more things going on here. They show us that enemies can have fused weapons, and this one specifically has a fan that will knock you back. So that should be fun. And then in this next part, it looks like all of the air, just all of the space above Hyrule, you're going to be spending a lot of time in it because you can fall off of these sky islands and glide around. So it's almost like you're skydiving and you can just look around and kind of see where you want to go next, but you can also accelerate your fall by hitting a certain button. And yeah, that'll make you go down faster if you don't want to, float really slowly. So that's really it in terms of concrete information. I mean, you could probably slow down and pick out every single item and, try to formulate exactly how you can fuse stuff together and use this and that. But generally speaking, it feels like the philosophy on these new powers is to just give you tools, right? Just give you cool, interesting ways to interact and manipulate the environment and do this cause and effect thing, this push-pull, where it feels like you're actually in control of what you're doing and you get to decide how you're going to do it. That's sort of the charm of Breath of the Wild for me. And I know some people don't like Breath of the Wild. They think it's empty and boring, whatever. But I just had this amazing experience with that game. It sort of tapped into my imagination and got me thinking about, oh, could I actually do this? Could I actually light this branch on fire and then throw it and then watch this entire prairie light on fire? Can I drop this apple in front of this horse and will the horse eat it? Different systemic gameplay things like that affect each other. That's really what I felt the magic was for Breath of the Wild. And so just seeing the way that Recall, Ultra Hand, Fuse, and what's the other one? Ascend are going to affect gameplay. Imagine combining those things together. It's just insane. I feel like one of the first things I'm going to try to do is make a helicopter. I want to make a helicopter and just see how far I can go with it, see, the different possibilities of how I can build one. Yeah, it feels like they've really kind of nailed exactly what I was looking for. Now, I think the criticism, I can already see people's comments probably on this is going to be it looks exactly the same. The game looks the same. It's still got durability. People are still going to have issues with that. And I get that if that was like a deal breaker for you in the first game. And then, yeah, like this is a sequel. Breath of the Wild came out in 2017. Why doesn't it look better graphically? So on and so forth. Obviously, I've never made a game, so I don't know how long this stuff, even takes. But it does feel like the systemic things underneath the surface do take time. And as far as sequels are concerned, it feels like sequels have changed a lot over the years. Sequels are a lot more like the original game than they used to. Sequels used to be massive leaps, I can think of Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2. Huge leap, massive changes, right? I think you'd be hard pressed to find a sequel like that these days that's come out in the last 5 years. It just feels like the landscape of games has changed, where your sequel is going to be very similar to your first game, just more of it, hopefully a little more polished, and a lot more interesting things going on, you know, to keep you playing. But yeah, man, I mean, ever since I saw the first Tears of the Kingdom gameplay, it instantly hooked me because I just thought back to my experience in the first game. So really, if it offers the same amount of gameplay, the same playtime, I think I'm going to be really happy. And to be honest, the graphics were never an issue for me with Breath of the Wild. I don't think people that are actually into Breath of the Wild and play a lot of it, I don't think they care about the way the game looks. At least that's my opinion. Watching this Tears of the Kingdom gameplay, again, it just got me so excited because it reminded me of all those crazy systemic moments that I had in the first game, like lighting a patch of grass on fire, seeing that grass create an upwards wind draft, and then using that to float above enemies. Just crazy cool stuff that the first time you do it, you're just never gonna forget it. I think it's really hard for a sequel to capture that lightning in the bottle moment again for people. And I hope that Breath of the Wild 2 or Tears of the Kingdom, I hope that they're able to sort of do that again with these new powers, to sort of give us new, like, oh my God, this is amazing kind of moments. And so far, it looks like it definitely can. Anyways, guys, yeah, I'm super excited for this game. It comes out in 6 weeks, and I'm really glad. I always look at the video game calendar to see like what is coming out around a big game. Am I gonna have enough time to just play that one game a lot? And the calendar's pretty clear. We'll see how Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League turns out. I'm not thinking it's going to turn out very well, but we'll see on that. So yeah, I feel like I'm going to have like a full month to play just this game and have a blast with it, hopefully. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the gameplay. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. And also let me know if you want to see me play Tears of the Kingdom when it comes out. I know I don't do Nintendo on this channel, so, you know, this video itself may not do very well, but if it is something you guys are into, please let me know so I can make those videos when the game comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, had a good time, let me know by clicking the like button. Also subscribe to the channel so you get more videos like this, and hit the bell so you receive a notification next time I upload. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll talk to you on the next one.